Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you to go hang out with Scotty G, hanging out at today at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Ben, we can talk some basketball here, but I was just reading a story. Kevin, what's his name? Kisner, the golfer who now works for NBC. He talked about how crappy this CBS broadcast was during the Masters, and anyway, we don't need to go into it. It doesn't matter. But he was very critical over not seeing the shots on 18, and really what was a terrible broadcast. And I heard Jim Nantz trying to defend his crew, and I totally get why he'd be doing that. But Kisner has released a statement, Ben, saying that he's apologizing to CBS.
Oh, okay.
So it's been an interesting few days, but it is what it is. I just have to apologize for the golf team at CBS. I crossed the line. Funny you said 4 instead of 2. I crossed the line publicly too much by talking about the content, blah, blah, blah. I want to know who from the Masters is holding a gun on Kevin Kisner.
Jim Nantz.
Is Jim Nantz like?
Absolutely.
Is who threatened Kevin Kisner? That's what I want to know.
Jim called the execs at NBC and was like, "Hey,
hello, friend."
Oh,
you realize you just hear the trigger. You hear the hammer pull back on the gun.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend.
Yeah, Jim is the ultimate bad guy in the movie. Who you're like, I thought he was an ally the whole time. You've seen The Fugitive.
I have.
With the doctor, like the Russian doctor or whatever. You switch the samples. That's at the very end. That's Jim Nantz.
That's Jim.
Standing up, lying
I'd believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin's phone rang. Hello, friend. Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened.
What's the drug in the Fugitive? Provasic.
It's bad for you.
The Masters. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Jim's been a friend the whole time.
Are they threatening Kevin Kisner?
Tony Romo's going to disappear one day.
Honestly, I wouldn't
know who it was.
I
Jim.
wouldn't put it past him. You heard that Hootie guy talk? Dude, there's a chance Kisner disappears if he doesn't say that. And who would know? Because like 2 of us have ever heard of Kevin Kisner in the first place.
Speaking of things changing in golf, you have any thoughts on LIV? Have you been paying attention to the fact that, like we all expected, they were losing billions of dollars, and this was a front of some kind?
I don't know if it was a front, but it was. It was Saudi investment,
and they have money to lose.
The Public Investment Fund, PIF.
So lots of people are taking money from PIF. I didn't like the concept of LIV. I didn't think it was a great idea. I didn't like PGA stars defecting because they were entitled to something. I never liked any of that. So this was predictable, though. What you're going to change up the model by having golfers not play as much, play a wacky 3-round tournament instead of 4, wear shorts and play rock music, and somehow you were going to topple the entrenched PGA Tour? Okay.
It's just so hard to get a league. It's just so hard to make a rival league once something is established. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over.
And what's, I think, going to be interesting is the PGA Tour has pretty much embraced bringing their stars back. Like, water under the bridge.
Come back.
They will not do that with Phil. I guarantee it. No, and Phil's not going to play any PGA events and is probably past that in his career or whatever. But, they always embrace their stars of yesteryear,
And the amount of time you have to invest. I mean, again, tip of the cap, the WNBA, the salaries right now are crazy. And I mean, crazy good. They're awesome. What's her name? Lonnie White, who just got drafted out of Utah. She's the very last pick of the 3rd round, is making 3 times what Paige Becker's made as the number 1 overall pick last year. Like, they have clearly invested. WNBA is, 30 years old? Like, it took forever to get to this point.
And they're not even a rival league. I don't even know if I would
No,
count
there's not
them.
a rival or anything, but they are a new league trying to invent something.
Right.
Trying to really carve out a niche somewhere.
But they're not trying to take down the NBA.
No, they're not.
LIV was trying to take down the PGA
Even
Tour.
along that line, there was a clear open space for the WNBA to exist, and it still took 30 years for the foundation to dry, to solidify, to start to actually build something that's seemingly lucrative. MLS is still fighting to get to this spot, and it was wide open because there weren't good American leagues in soccer, and it is still fighting to figure out how to shed what we've called this Ponzi scheme style of development based purely on investment from teams to take hold. Liv was trying to steal something.
And they were doomed as soon as they said that their results weren't going to be counted in the world golf rankings because it really did just become an amateur chore at that point.
I'll be really curious how this factors into NBA Europe, which is going to be a big thing that's trying to take hold now. Are they able to actually establish a new league in Europe, thinking that they're going to, go into all these major markets and have 10 teams or 12 teams or whatever it is and use the NBA branding? There will be some interest in it, but there are good European basketball leagues already.
That are already entrenched.
That have fan bases.
No, if I were giving Adam advice, Adam Silver, I would say 50 SPF or higher.
Yeah.
Or you
Stuff
really
you put
need
on babies.
to. Yeah. But if you're going to expand to Europe, you need to be the team needs to be in the NBA.
Interesting.
Like if you're going to expand to London, then that team needs to be a part of the NBA.
Can't do a new league entirely in a different country that has nothing to do with the actual American National Basketball Association.
We took my daughter Sadie likes Wheel of Fortune, so we took her to the traveling Wheel of Fortune show that came to the Eccles. And listen, we had a great time. And the fill-in for Vanna White and the fill-in for, at the time, Pat Sajak were both fine and funny and all of that. And they had all the branding of the wheel. Mm-hmm. They had the actual wheel itself.
All the pieces are there.
But was it the wheel, Ben?
Didn't have the stars.
It was not.
Yeah.
It was not the wheel. So you can put the NBA branding on whatever league you want. It's not going to make sure you're not going to tackle the established leagues in Italy or Spain or all those that are already there.
Yeah.
So if they do want to get to the European market, I think they've got to put a franchise there, which I think is actually doable. I don't know why people poo-poo that so much, but
I think it's difficult. I do wonder if this is going to be the latest failure for Adam Silver.
No, because whatever he comes up with for tanking will be the latest.
Will be the latest. Okay, well, this will be the next major failure after the tanking resolution. I'm a little more skeptical.
LeBron's trying to do it too, right?
Yeah.
Isn't LeBron trying to put on like a traveling LeBron 3-on-3 league or something after he retires? I don't think that works. If you really want to, land that market, I think you've got to put a team over there.
I think that's probably fair.
And maybe, you know what, you probably got to put this would be a major expansion, but you'd probably have to put 4 teams over there at least, like a whole division, so they could play each other and you could make the travel work. And make it so other teams are only making 1 or 2 trips across the Atlantic. But think about it geographically, Ben. What's the difference between traveling from New York to London or New York to L.A.?
Certainly quicker still to get to L.A., but yes, it's not impossible to go Portland to Orlando, Portland to Miami. Is not a close trip.
And I don't think the Concorde is still a thing anymore, but you can figure something out.
And then the way you would case it is, your team goes and plays a month in Europe. Every team goes and plays a month in Europe, or 12 games in Europe, whatever it is. However, in 3 weeks you need to be there, and then those teams come and do an American tour as well.
How about this for a punishment for tanking after the league expands? Is if you finish in the bottom third of the league, you have to travel to play the new European teams by boat.
You have to take a cruise over.
You have to take a boat.
Okay.
No, not like a cruise, like an oil tanker.
Okay, you have to row.
Yeah, not
What is this, World War II era?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But don't finish in the bottom 3.
Do you have to look out for U-boats on your way?
No, just don't finish in the bottom 3 and you
can fly.
You won't have to worry about icebergs.
How far south are they going?
No, north.
No,
like the Titanic.
No, the North Atlantic is notorious for its icebergs.
We went to a museum about it, Ben.
We had a good time.
I would thought that would jump to mind.
Yeah.
Watch out for those bergs, bro. It's rough. Man, we should have won more games. This sucks.
Was canceled. Just outside of Greenland.
I do think that if you punish teams by travel, it would incentivize them to win. Like if you want to fix tanking, like you're going by train and bus.
I do think you have said hotel quality would do a big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah.
If you were staying at the Quality Inn, no offense to the good folks at the Quality Inn, the GM could tell the team to tank all they want.
Yeah.
That team's pouring it on every single night.
Correct. the second, Lowry Markkinen, Lau as you like to call him, is doing the continental breakfast with the rest of us schlubs.
It's like, guys, we gotta.
He's like, I'm putting up 45 tomorrow.
I'm doing it.
Yeah,
we're winning because I gotta get out. I gotta get out of this line for the cornflakes.
Bed small, shower only reaches my chest.
If it works at all.
Yeah.
No hot water.
Standard cable. It's the worst.
It would fix it. I'm telling you, it would fix it.
Adam Silver's looking in the wrong places.
So how are you feeling about our Magic prediction in the Eastern Conference Finals?
They're dreadful.
You and I both predicted that would happen.
No, they're dreadful. I don't feel as bad about the Knicks, though it does feel like the Celtics are by far the best team.
In the East.
Which credit the Celtics, and it's not that surprising. I'm a little shocked that Jason Tatum was able to come back as quickly as he did, and that when he came back, he looked so good. And I am still a part of certainly the antiquated NBA fan that remembers the Achilles being the death sentence for your NBA career. For a while it was getting microfracture surgery, which they got rid of because they recognized it just made things worse. Mm-hmm. And the Achilles, we've seen it over and over and over. I mean, going back to Felton Spencer, R.I.P., it ended his career essentially.
It did.
It ended Mehmet Okur's career. It changed Kobe's life. Kevin Durant came back from it, and that was maybe the first sign that we had figured out some things that allowed you to still operate at a very high level post-Achilles. And then Jason Tatum's the latest example that maybe it's going to be fine, and we'll see what Dame looks like when he comes back next year. We've seen a few of these recently. It ended Rodney Hood's career.
But
that recently.
That isn't the story of the Celtics, though, which kind of bugs me.
No, you're totally right.
It's not. They were good before he came back, and
they
that's
were very good. And that's the big story.
That's going to be the storyline. If I'm Jaylen Brown, I'm just fuming.
Yeah.
Fuming. Because Radio Bozo Ben Anderson in Salt Lake is like, story of the year, Jason Tatum's back.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown's like, I don't know, I think I was one of the best two-way players in the NBA, averaged almost 30, and I'm not going to crack the MVP top 5, despite the fact that everybody before the year said, should we take a gap year? Should we try and get Cam Boozer to add to this roster? And he and Joe Mazzulla and Derek White said, no, let's just go win 60 games, and that's just about what they did.
Let's go make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about how the storyline was going to be Boston was going to suck. Jaylen Brown was going to take the blame for Boston sucking.
Yep.
And then Tatum was going to ride in like a knight on his white horse to save the day next year.
And the opposite happened.
None of that happened.
Yep, the exact opposite happened. Now, Tatum's still going to get most of the shine. And that is a little bit because
sucks.
Jaylen Brown is bad with the media, and I don't mean he's like a bad guy. He's just a little like introspective. He's not.
He doesn't have an extrovert personality.
Yeah, he doesn't have that sheen that a Donovan Mitchell has, or even a Jason Tatum has. So those guys come in and they steal the show, and Jaylen Brown says, "Okay, I guess I'm just gonna, moonwalk into the Hall of Fame when my career is done." But he has been by far the best player on their team. I mean, he's made an All-Star game 5 of the last 6 years. Yeah, he averaged 28, 6, and 7 this year. Like, it's like he and Luka Doncic are probably the only players that have numbers like of those ilk, in that ilk, and throw Jokic into that conversation. And then on top of that, he plays defense, like very good defense. But yeah, we can't wait to
give Jason Tatum. They're amazing. Jason Tatum comes back
in the nick of time,
and they're totally amazing. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
No. Jaylen Brown's good. Hello. It's like Scottie Pippen without Michael Jordan was still not only a playoff team, but weren't they like a 3 seed?
Yeah, if that
or
low.
2 seed.
Yeah, it might have been that low.
And Michael Jordan comes back. It's like, MJ saves the day.
Finally.
And Pippen's got to be like, wait, what?
Excuse me?
Huh?
This is what we're looking at in the East. Pistons versus the Magic or the Hornets. Magic have to play the Hornets tomorrow night. There's still a chance the Magic win that game and end the Hornets' magical run. It's in Orlando. Not that that's a home court advantage of any kind, but, are you absolutely thrilled about what the Hornets have done? I mean, they've been fun. They barely beat the Miami Heat.
None of this matters.
It doesn't. Cavaliers taking on the Raptors. Cavaliers should run in that series. That should be fine. Knicks-Hawks is actually a pretty fun series. And then Celtics 76ers. Celtics should run over them. So we'll have to get to the second round and see. That it gets interesting when you get to Pistons, Cavs. That should be a fun series. And then we'll see if the Knicks are able to beat the Hawks. I'm not actually convinced that's going to happen.
I think they're going to get swept.
But if the Knicks beat the Hawks, they have had the Celtics number. They have the type of bodies that the Celtics have struggled with. They beat them last year.
They don't.
They beat them last year. So we'll see if the Knicks can repeat that.
Do you think this year's Knicks team is better than last year's Knicks team?
I don't know. They're a little dysfunctional.
Extraordinarily flawed.
But they're just as flawed as they were last year, and for whatever reason, the Celtics couldn't figure out the Knicks last season. So we'll see if they're able to this season.
I think the Celtics were weird last year. And this comes as somebody who was burned by the Celtics. But I mean, I remember, as we were talking playoffs, it was, I still think the Celtics are the best team, even though they didn't have the best record and all this stuff. And then they just fell flat.
Yeah.
And Tatum got hurt. But I mean, I think
that series was over by the time he got hurt. I think that was the last game, actually.
There was something wrong. There was something wrong with them last year.
Right.
I wonder this year, I think it seems like a way different vibe surrounding them.
They've had some young guys step up, plucky guys step up. Specifically, Nimi Keita has done a really nice job, and they tried to replace him with Vooch. We'll see what those bigs look like. Not that anyone's necessarily all that thrilled about Boston Celtics
basketball. But the
basketball.
Knicks don't have a big.
Correct. They have a person named Karl Anthony Towns who loves to shoot threes on the perimeter, which is a skill.
He is big.
He's a tall person.
But he's not a big.
Mitch Robinson's a little bit more of a big, but he plays 12 minutes and he gets hurt too often. And in the West, Thunder and either Suns Warriors is going to be
fodder.
A joke. Lakers Rockets is going to be the game that's at like 4:30 on ABC every single time. You're not going to be able to get away from this series, despite the fact that it's going to be the worst series.
Unfortunately,
KD and LeBron is like kind of a cool story. I think they've only played in the playoffs once in the finals when the Heat beat them. Might have been LeBron's first title.
No, they played Warriors.
Oh, you're right.
Warriors,
you're right.
Cavaliers.
You're right. So this is what, third, maybe fourth time they've played. I guess probably the fourth time they've played. First time non-finals appearance. First three must have been in the finals. Nuggets Timberwolves by far the best series in my opinion, and then Spurs Trailblazers. I'll just be curious how quickly the Spurs can adjust to the postseason, but I think we're going to see a major performance from Victor Wembanyama.
Man, what a draw for Rudolph and the Timberwolves in the first round.
I know. A lot of people wanted to avoid the Timberwolves because they are dangerous, but I don't know. It's tough for Rudy to have to play Jokic, and it's a good Nuggets
The
team.
Timberwolves are an example, in my opinion, of you can't just have one player that is playing by himself.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game where the Timberwolves beat the Jazz here, where they had, how many assists did they have? It was like the most assists I've ever, and it was simply because Anthony Edwards missed the game.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we're passing now. This is great. I think they had maybe 50 assists, something like that. I'll go back and look at the box score. But I don't know. They might be too Ant. Ant's great, but they might be too Ant.
I'll be curious how Julius Randle plays. He had a really good playoffs last year, if you remember, and was kind of this revelation, and they made it back to the conference finals, and they absolutely hammered the Lakers in the first round and moved on easily there. I'm curious what Julius Randle's second run in the playoffs looks like. He's capable of some really big games, and he seems to be able to focus in and play very well. But I wonder if that's... He kind of always seems to be hot, cold. You know, he has an all-NBA year, and everyone's like, yeah, he's really great. He's a superstar for the Knicks. And then it's like, they can't wait to trade him. So I'll be curious which Julius Randle shows up. If they have a chance to beat the Nuggets, it'll be because Julius Randle has a big series.
They should trade him because he's not that he's a bad player, but that's always been a really awkward fit.
Yeah.
I never really understood what they were going for there.
And he was bad last year in the conference finals against the Thunder. Was really good before that. And that's, I guess, a little bit telling. He's also got a little bit of the Jaren Jackson Jr. thing which is like just no rebounding for some reason some games. It's like, why do you have 3 rebounds? You're enormous. You should be able to push everybody out of the way.
Because he's not that tall.
Yeah, he's not.
That's always been he's absolutely a throwback player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a tough, physical, down low kind of guy, but built in a 6'8" as opposed to a 7'2".
Yeah. Yep.
Whereas Jaren Jackson Jr. is very tall.
He's much bigger. Plays bigger.
And probably should
minus the rebound.
Be a better rebounder.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
But then again, Paul Millsap was like 5'10".
Yeah. And the best rebounder. Sheetway was not big.
Charles Barkley, not that tall, but was a great rebounder. So you still liking the Thunder in the finals? Because before the season, do you remember what you picked?
Did I pick the Nuggets?
Let's see. In the Western Conference Finals, we both had the same matchup in the conference finals. Oklahoma City versus Denver.
Okay.
Your NBA Finals was Knicks Nuggets. My NBA Finals was Thunder Cavs.
I don't love the pathway for the Nuggets to get there. They have a brutal... I mean, we were just talking about the Timberwolves who are flawed, but still very dangerous. Then you got to play the Spurs in the second round, which I think they will win. I actually think the Nuggets are going to win that series because of the experience having been to the finals, Jokic knowing what to do in all of these situations. Same with Jamal Murray. And, this is the first time Steph Castle's ever been here. It's the first time Wemby's ever been here. That should be an advantage for the Nuggets. And then you have to play the Thunder. And the Thunder are going to coast through Suns Warriors, whoever they play. And then Lakers Rockets is a cakewalk. I mean, they're going to play 8 games over the next month and a half. And
yeah, that's really true.
The Nuggets might play, 2 7-game series, just high stress over and over and over. So that's
right. They are going to roll either Phoenix or Golden State, and then they'll
play
roll.
Lakers Rockets.
Well, it's not going to be the Lakers.
Probably not. No. So yeah, they're going to coast. It's going to be that's the real advantage. And credit the Thunder. That's why you sometimes want to get that best record and the number 1 seed. You can get those advantages for you. So and they did.
Unless the sommelier can invent a new player, like a robot player.
Uh-huh.
I don't.
Well,
think
apparently Luka's come back from Europe. He's already back.
Really, we never thought we'd see him again.
I don't know if we're going to see him, but he's back.
Well, the vape and vodka treatment he got back there must have really been effective.
Just rub it on the leg.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was very dedicated to the regimen.
Did you see, though, that the NBA ruled in favor of both Luka and Cade Cunningham with the 65-game rule? So Adam Silver comes out with the 65-game rule. I'm not going to make changes to it.
Which is a cat in the wall.
Right.
Total cat.
I think this will allow players to play more. I think this will force players to play more because we want them to make All-NBA first team or MVP or be in that conversation. And then the first season, it really comes into play where there are 2 guys who fall short of it. He immediately pulls back and he says, yeah, it was because of injuries. It's like, that's why guys miss games, Adam, because of injuries. It's like, yes, Cade Cunningham's lung collapsed. That's a little weird. Yeah, Luka had a baby and took some games off and then rolled his ankle or pulled his hamstring or whatever his hamstring is what he's dealing with now. It's like, yeah, that's why guys aren't playing. Guys get hurt. If you're going to change the rule for that, what won't you change the rule for? Why even have 65 games then?
Well, what's funny about that particular cat, again,
cat in the wall, eh?
It not only doesn't help the problem, but it makes it worse. Because you know what the benchmark 65 has become, Ben? That's the goal.
Sure.
All I got to do is 65.
Yeah, right. Correct. You've set
a
low bar.
You've set the bar, so now people are aiming for the 65. Nikola Jokic came back from injury specifically so he had enough games to get to the 265.
Same with Wemby.
But I'm sure
look at how many All-NBA guys played exactly 65 games.
How about on the other end, though? We could go back and look. How many NBA guys, All-NBA guys, coasted the last month because they had already gotten to the 65 or they were at 58 or whatever the case may be. So it's like, I can take a few games off down the stretch. I mean, it becomes instead of the basement, like you got to play at least 65
it becomes
games.
the target.
It becomes the target.
Yep.
I mean, those are the worst solutions.
Yep.
That's quite literally where the cat in the wall came from.
Yeah.
Solutions that not only don't fix the problem,
Make the problem worse.
but make the problem worse.
Yeah. It's a Goodwin's law, Goodhart's law that I bring up a lot. When a target becomes a goal, it ceases to be a good target. Or when a measurement becomes a goal, it ceases to be a good measurement. When that becomes what the target is, it's no longer saying like, oh, well, the goal is to win MVP, so you get to get to 65 games. Now it's get to 65 games and automatically you say, well, that's good enough. You get an award because you hit 65 games. So it becomes self-defeating. Well done, Adam. You've done it.
Killing it.
65 is the new 82. You're only going to see players play 65. Why would you play a game more than that? We're going to say that's
why
the
would
standard.
you?
Why would you?
You're getting paid the same.
Yeah.
You get to that standard because you want to get paid more. You might as well mail it in after you get there.
Yeah. Or rest mid-season.
And I love the idea of
pick it up
timing
late.
an injury to come back. It's like, well, how hurt were you?
Correct. You need to play 12 more.
Came back just in time
So you're
for
going
that.
to rest 2 of those final 14 to make sure.
Okay. Stay tuned. We will have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Just a bunch of guys sitting around and talking sports. This is Scotty G and Friends.
Logan Cooley, 2 years ago, is about the time things really started to break that this organization was going to move from Phoenix to Salt Lake City. And now 2 years later, you're in the playoffs. Just what does that feeling feel like for you as a player, knowing that you're going to be playing postseason hockey?
It's awesome. I mean, I think as a little kid, you dream about eventually one day winning the Stanley Cup, and just the experience we're going to gain from being in the playoffs. You know, there's some guys that on our team. I'm one of them that haven't even experienced playoff hockey. And, you know, you watch on TV, just the excitement in the buildings, how intense the hockey is. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be unbelievable. And I'm sure the fans are going to have the Delta Center rocking. And we can't honestly wait to, get started once playoffs start. It's going to be the most fun hockey that, I think I'm going to be a part of.
Catch Scotty G and Friends weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you very much for making us part of your day.
It'd be hard to today, from where we were, 2 years ago, February, when we kind of started to hear the rumors that there might be a hockey team coming to Utah. And I'm not sure you could have scripted this much better for Ryan Smith and the Utah Hockey Club, now Utah Mammoth. I think the way they've gotten to where they are today with zero controversy, unless I'm missing something, got everything up and running, got them on TV, got the Delta Center equipped to hold a team, rebranded. I guess the biggest issue has been the Yeti to Mammoth transition, which I also think they handled relatively well. To be in the playoffs in their second year, seemingly a bunch of pretty likable guys, some stars emerging. They won the lottery in the draft, which we've not really ever seen in Utah. It's hard to really kind of draw up a better setup for how they've gotten to where they are today. And who knows what happens in the playoffs, and maybe they get swept, or maybe they win a playoff series, or maybe they do what the Golden Knights did their first year and second year. Did they win their second year? I know they made the Stanley Cup Finals their first year. I don't think they won their second year.
They made the Stanley Cup. They didn't win it the first year.
And they ended up winning it in their first few seasons. But this is a fairy tale beginning to this franchise. I just don't think this could have gone a whole lot better.
Yeah, but what way are you looking at it? Because it's basically what I expected. They haven't really, not trying to take credit for anybody, but they haven't really exceeded my expectations.
Okay.
When Ryan Smith announced that he was going to do this monumental thing, he told us he was going to do it, and then he did it. I didn't expect him to not have a team name, or not refit the Delta Center, or not. The reason the Coyotes stunk wasn't because they didn't have good young players. It's because they never held on to them.
I think that's very fair.
And so all of a sudden they had a roster that was absolutely ready-made to turn the corner. Now, they've made some savvy trades, which I've liked. And to your point, I'm not saying that they didn't do anything. But I expected this. I expected them to make the playoffs in their second year. They told us this. Bill Armstrong on this station, he didn't say it like quite as definitively as I'm saying it, but last year it was like, okay, give us a minute, and then that's what I expected.
And the players this year, I very specifically remember playing a donut or a cut on this station for a long time of Clayton Keller saying we expect to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the goal this year. So you're right. I have heard, including the former owner of the Arizona Coyotes. Now, he was an idiot. He's just a bad owner. He's one of the worst in sports. We have heard a lot of owners say this is what's going to happen, X, Y, and Z. Rarely does that actually follow, kind of this laid out path. Well, rarely does the blueprint work. And what Ryan has said is going to happen has happened with this Mammoth team.
Yeah. And again, I've got to be careful because I'm not really trying to take away credit because they deserve it. But this you used the word fairy tale. I think that might be overcooking it a bit.
Okay.
I mean, because we expect our franchises to be competitive, right? I mean, even with the Jazz going through the rebuild, I think the misconception out there is, oh, the Jazz stink. They were doing all of that on purpose. It's all part of the plan. I think most fans understand that. I didn't expect the hockey team to be bad. I expected the hockey team to be where it was in the cycle, a young team that was coming up the ranks, which is exactly what they were. Now, they kept it that way artificially for a decade, but that's exactly what they were. So bring them in, give them support, don't trade away the team's best player, And yeah, you should be a. How many teams make the playoffs in hockey? It's the
16.
same 16. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like half the league.
It is.
I don't think it's some miracle they made the playoffs. Do Mammoth fans think that? Do NHL fans think that this is some grand accomplishment? I honestly expected it. It's kind of like going to a bowl game for our college football teams.
You are right. We do foster sports very well. I do look, though, around the NHL. And again, I'm not as familiar with the NHL as I will be at some point. But I think you even look like the Winnipeg Jets missed the playoffs this year. I think they had the most points in all of hockey last year. I do think things can turn on a dime. I do think things can fall apart. So I guess that's where I'm saying fairy tale. Maybe that's a stretch. But you're right. Things have gone according to plan. That's hard to do. Laying out a plan and accomplishing it, just because you set it up day one to be here doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get there. They've avoided really any and all pitfalls, it seems like, to this point.
And deserve credit for it, but I'm also not going to call it some fairy tale. That's your job. Now, they're good at it. I mean, especially, and I'm thinking now really like behind-the-scenes people that had to do all of the heavy lifting to bring a franchise here in such short order. Those guys deserve all the credit. I don't think that actually has that much to do with success on the ice. I think that's a different story. But yeah, they've accomplished their goals all the way along. Ryan Smith said he could do it, and he's delivered. And it's not just him, it's everybody over there. But yeah, they deserve credit. But this is also what I expected. Now, if they go to the Stanley Cup final, then we can start talking fairy tales.
Yes. That would certainly be maybe a step ahead of where anyone's expecting.
They made off-season moves to make the playoffs. They made a mid-season move to make the playoffs.
They were buyers.
They've
been
buyers.
Trying to improve.
I mean, I think, would you be barbecuing them if they didn't make the playoffs? 100%.
I'm not sure I would be this year. I would say this is probably the type of pathway it takes. I do think it would have been a disappointment.
We would have called it underachieving.
Yeah,
if they didn't make the playoffs, we would have. I mean, you don't have to come along with my hyperbolic language in barbecuing, but we would be calling it a disappointment. We would be calling the season a failure. So just by making their goal, it's great. Not a fairy tale. Good for you. You did it. Keep going.
Yeah.
You rattle off a couple of rounds, and I'm jumping in fairy tale land.
They are only 3 points ahead of, as of today, we'll see if they win tonight in their meaningless final game. They are only 3 points ahead of where they were last year. So it's not like they took some insane step forward. It's very similar success to what they had last season. Now, last year, if I'm looking at it correctly, the worst wild card team, the St. Louis Blues, needed 96 points to get in. Clearly, that's not the case this year. You don't need 96 points to get into the playoffs to make the wild card because the Mammoth are sitting at 92 and have clinched. In fact, the Kings have clinched and they're sitting at 90, which is a drop. You know, that's 3 fewer wins than you needed last season or 6 fewer points. So I guess along those lines, no, it's not like it's been this straight line of success. I mean, they maybe are pretty even to where they were last year, and hockey fell back to them a little bit. But
the only failures they've had are peripheral stuff that doesn't matter, like the taking a vote on the team name and all that stuff. I didn't think was accomplished its goal.
And the Yeti thing, not working out.
And that honestly was not even really their fault.
No, I totally agree. That has nothing to do with anything.
No.
Branding is not that
and
big
honestly,
a deal.
I think where they landed with the Mammoth and that particular logo is terrific.
Yeah, I think it's going to work.
And they've made it cool, which was my whole point to begin with. Who cares what you name it? You have to go out there and make it cool. And they've done that.
I do always have a fear, though, of a team moving into a state or a city or whatever and not taking hold. And look, I don't know how much the Mammoth have actually taken hold.
See, the taking hold is automatic. I actually don't agree with your take. Any new franchise gets a wave and a boost.
They do.
It's maintaining it. That's the challenge. You can introduce a new sport. I remember when the Bees first got to town as a AAA as opposed to the Trappers who were AA. And I was young at this point, but I remember when that happened. That field was sold out every game for like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Because people love the new thing. People get on board. The trick is retaining it. The trick is is ingraining it into the culture, which is what I was trying to talk to Nick Olchek about. I don't know if he quite got the point of what I was bringing up, but you've got to plant it into the culture. Like I keep referring to this because it's the best visual example, but the people driving around with the Mammoth flags during the playoff run. You know, if you can picture back to the 90s Jazz playoff runs and all the vibe that surrounded the community, that's what keeps it going. I mean, that's what keeps That's what keeps the attendance up and going. Shoot, I even remember, what was the name of that stupid indoor football league at the East Center? There was like the Utah, what was it? It was like
Screaming Eagles?
No, they're going back before that. I'm talking like '04, and they played out at the East Center.
Yeah.
That wasn't the Blaze.
No, it was pre-Blaze. This was like, anyway.
The Warriors?
It was like the Wizards or something. Their mascot was a wizard.
Okay.
But I went to a game, and you know what? It was fairly full.
Yeah.
We jump on board new stuff. It's how do you keep it around?
And I do think one of the ways to keep it around is a winner. People love winners.
No, I that's why I think this playoff run is important.
Yeah.
Not that it's end all be all, like the franchise is just going to close up shop if they don't get out of the first round. But I think if they could create a little vibe in the community and really ingrain themselves in the culture, that's how you sustain it.
I'm going back and I'm trying to compare this to what the Utah Stars did in the WNBA, and it was still it was fledgling. It was a very young league at that point, and they were pretty bad their first 4 years. Somewhat ironically, they made the playoffs each of their last 2 years. I had forgotten this entirely. They made the conference finals in 2002 and then moved to San Antonio the next year. Now, I assume they'd already been sold and everyone knew it was leaving. I don't think that was, I can't remember honestly exactly if that was, middle of the night, they're packing up shop and moving the team. I suspect they'd already been sold at that point, but they had started to find some success and still couldn't get quite the stranglehold. Now, there's no fear of the Mammoth leaving Utah the way there was certainly with the Stars and leaving, but I do think the fact that they are getting to this point where they're having success and have a reason to tune in. The Jazz are not playing on Sunday. The Mammoth are playing on Sunday. And you can watch it on Channel 16 or if you have, Mammoth Plus or however, SCG Plus, however you want to watch it. You're going to be able to watch these games. And I do think that's going to help build out a franchise, which I think can be hard to not just sell tickets, but actually develop a culture, like you're saying.
It's important.
It is important.
Stay tuned. We wrap up the show next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Here we go again.
Mark Durant, you hear him on the radio broadcast for BYU basketball.
It was a lot of fun to have A.J. DeBonsa in the program. Wow, what a kid. Forecast for us what you think he'll be as far as a pro, ranging from a decent player, an occasional all-star, perennial all-star, Hall of Fame. Where do you think?
I was talking to Matt Carlino, who's a former BYU player who does the color at TCU, and he said, I think A.J. is going to be the face of the NBA for the next 20 years.
Wow.
And I think he can be that guy because of the charisma, just has that nature about him that people like him, and I think he's got the game. And because he works hard, he's going to get better and better. I think he will be a perennial all-star and could end up being a Hall of Famer. I think he's going to be one of the greats, and I can't wait to see what happens for him.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben, you're a big movie guy. I've got some breaking movie news for you. Top Gun 3 is officially in the works at Paramount, with Tom Cruise set to return and Jerry Bruckheimer producing, as announced at CinemaCon.
Well, as soon as that last one, Maverick, made $1 billion, you had to imagine this was coming.
It bums me out that I agree with you, because they're just going to keep reheating this movie until it's just complete garbage. Because Maverick wasn't bad.
No, Maverick should.
In fact,
I think there's an argument the first one's better. The second one's better than the first one.
Let's not go that far. But yeah, I hear you. It was not bad. So now they got to reheat it over and over again
what
until
are the
it's
odds
bad.
that 3 is going to be good?
Very
Extremely
low. Very low.
Yep.
Can't you just leave it $1 billion and come up with a new idea?
Yeah, I'm with you. New plane, something?
Do something.
Yeah. Planes are cool.
You can figure out a different plane movie.
But again, you know what? This goes back to our conversation earlier, which is, can you just throw the branding on it and expect good things?
No.
The NBA is going to Europe. What people do like is good basketball.
Uh-huh.
So make a good plane movie, and people will go see a good plane movie.
Right.
But,
no, it's got to be Top Gun 3.
Yeah, it's got to be Top Gun. It's got to be Tom Cruise.
Well, Tom, he did save the motion picture industry with Top Gun Maverick.
That's kind of what was
a lot of people were saying.
Post-COVID. Finally. People forget to go back to movies.
I don't know. That industry is changing so much.
It is. It's really quickly.
I'm honestly not sure that Maverick saved anything, but it was an old school, in the theater, blockbuster hit type of movie.
Every other year, people think it's dying, and then every year it comes back.
You know what I fear though with all is just they churn out so much on streaming, and the movies are going to more streaming. I know Warner Brothers didn't get purchased by Netflix in the end, but Netflix was trying to purchase Warner Brothers, right, and get access to that studio. I just worry the streamers pump out so much like volume of content that we're just going to get so watered down with garbage that we won't get the actual good movie blockbusters nearly as frequently as
certainly is the fear. And yeah, there is not the you have to go see a movie in a theater anymore. You just wait. It's just going to be there in a month. And it's easy to do to just wait for it because now there is so much backlog. You say, oh, I didn't watch that because I've been waiting. And so by the time you're actually like a new movie, it's coming out. You know, there's something you didn't see last that's already streaming in front of you. So you can afford to wait until the movie hits
When
streaming.
was the last in-theater blockbuster? I'm honestly asking, what would you consider the last? Like Oppenheimer probably was, but that was
and Barbie were huge.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, we used to have them every month.
Yeah, it certainly felt like that. I wonder if that is a little bit revisionist history, but yes. What was the biggest movie of 2025? I mean, Sinners was huge and it did very well. One Battle After Another was big. It did pretty well.
But not what we're talking about.
No, it's not. They didn't make Sinners might have. I don't think Sinners made $1 billion.
But you remember when, first of all, looking at how much money a movie made is silly when comparing.
But that is what we're talking about, the blockbuster you have to go see.
No, I'm more talking about when Jurassic Park came out, the first one. I'm not talking about the 15th.
Sure.
I'm talking about the first one. I wonder what percentage of the country actually watched that movie in the theater.
Yeah,
it felt like
huge.
everybody, you had to watch it. You had to watch it in the theater.
And then how many people saw it multiple times in the theater?
Biggest domestic hit last year, Zootopia 2.
Yeah.
$1.86 billion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I saw that on the cruise ship.
Yeah.
The old Disney Wish.
That's where they have found out is that people taking their kids to movies. You know,
Yeah,
I'm sure the
'cause
Mario movie did absolutely insane.
Avatar: Fire and Ash was second with $1.485 billion. Lilo and Stitch just north of $1 billion. Then Minecraft movie just a shade under $1 billion.
I forgot about the Minecraft. That was kind of a phenomenon.
It was, and it was for kids going and thrashing movie theaters. That was a little bit of the thing.
And talking along
But
with
none of those movies, maybe with the exception of Avatar, which I don't honestly know anybody who went and saw.
No.
I'm
never
sure
seen
it made most of its money overseas.
No, thank you. Yeah, because it does say that. So Avatar domestically, $404 million, $1 billion internationally.
Yeah. That's not, date night. You and your wife have, drop the kids off at grandma's and you go see Zootopia 2.
No.
Or Lilo and Stitch. No, you're right. To that point, that model is not as prevalent as it once was. And there are the occasional. Sinners was that. One Battle After Another was that.
Was it?
Barbie and Oppenheimer.
I'd throw
were both
Barbie
that.
and Oppenheimer. I don't know those other two.
Yeah. I think they were. But they didn't get to $1 billion, to your point.
No, or cross, that cultural barrier or whatever. Like Titanic was that.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, Sinners only made $370 million. Now, it's going to generate a sequel.
But nobody saw it.
But it's not what you're talking about with Jurassic Park.
I remember when Home Alone came out, and everybody, you had to see it. Mm-hmm. Had to.
Yeah.
Could not go to school the next day and get clowned for not seeing that movie.
You weren't cool until you saw it.
Scotty G and friends from RGS Exteriors is coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.